Saturday as part of Talon's Out honor flight. It's a chance for the vets who served to see the war memorials dedicated to them. It's also a chance for some recognition that many did not receive when they returned home from war. Weather conditions are perfect for ticks, which carry Lyme disease. Macomb County Environmental Health Division Director Tom Barnes says that's due to the mild temperatures we've gotten this winter and spring. He says the time is now to start watching out for ticks. I'm Beth Fisher for the Michigan News Network.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping me save more money on prescription drug costs. Maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, my premium is zero and my out-of-pocket costs are low. Who should apply? Single people making less than $23,000 a year or married couples who make less than $31,000 a year. Even if you don't think you qualify, it pays to find out. Go to ssa.gov/extra help.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Happy birthday to you.
My son Levi was so proud to turn 3, but he will never get the chance to turn 4. I'm Nicole Hughes, Levi's mom, and during a family vacation, he slipped out a door unnoticed and drowned in a pool. My son was missing for less than a minute. Drowning is quick and it's silent. It's also preventable. Please talk with your pediatrician about how to keep your child safe.
The Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency is looking for active adults 55 or over for the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. It allows volunteers to apply a lifetime of skills and wisdom to make a positive difference in the lives of others and their communities. Volunteers choose how and where they want to serve and how much time they want to give. For details, stop by the Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency at 1015 Short Drive in Prudenville or online nemcsa.org. nemcsa.org.
Hey barbecue fans, this is Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig Smokehouse in downtown Galen. We've got a brand new menu for you to try. All our classic favorites plus a few new additions like egg rolls, smoked whitefish wontons, Texas Twinkies, pot stickers, and more. We're open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 11 a.m. and serve breakfast Saturday and Sunday beginning at 9 a.m. Visit ironpigsmoke.com for all the current happenings including live music, karaoke, and open mic. And don't forget to risk it for the brisket.
It's McLean's Ace Hardware's 50th anniversary celebration this Friday through Sunday. This huge event has incredible sales, demonstrations, and giveaways. 2 of them are worth $500. Come early each day and be one of the first 50 people for a special prize. While you shop the best prices of the year, enjoy food, drinks, and fun games. Many items are 50% off to celebrate 50 years in Grayling. Don't miss this amazing event at McLean's Ace Hardware in Grayling.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It is here. It's finally time to launch the 25th season of Michigan Golf Live, where we celebrate the greatest game on earth, and we'd love to have you come along for the ride. Hi, this is Bill Hobson, inviting you to join me for the season premiere as we broadcast from the Grand Rapids area and give you a chance to win free golf. It's the season 25 launch of Michigan Golf Live. Join us Saturday morning from 7 to 9 on WGRY 101.1 FM Up North Sports Radio.
Make my screen bigger.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Cherry Coyne is in our studios. We're on the radio. We're Skyping. We're on Up North Sports Radio's Facebook page, and I'm joined by our morning man on Q100, Eric Zane. EZ, what's happening, bro?
You are. I'm excited to be here. This is the first time we've done this, and we were down to the wire setting it up. I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking, but we totally got it done, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, one of the main reasons why I asked Eric to join us today, Rich Calkins, my usual co-host, is out of town, and Eric has a sports background. Eric, you are the play-by-play announcer for the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Grand Rapids Gold, right?
Close. I'm actually the in-house, in-stadium PA announcer.
Right, okay.
But I have a front row seat to all of those matchups, and it's especially important because I get to see all of the Red Wings prospects as they fight. I've seen Nick Cronwall play his first games before joining the Red Wings. That's how far back this goes.
So obviously you know a little bit about hockey, you know a little bit about basketball. I know you're a huge Lions fan. And so I thought you would be appropriate. Now, before we get into sports discussions, what the hell is an ice hog?
Great question, because the Griffins are playing the Ice Hogs in the Central Division semifinals, Game 3 tonight.
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe they're dipping into the Illinois meatpacking industry type of thing. I don't know. I would have called them the Rick Nielsen's or the Cheap Tricks, because it's Rockford,
It's Rockford, or the truck stops.
Yes.
I know, like, Rockford, Illinois is one of the largest truck stops in the United States.
I did not know that.
Yes.
And
I used to have to drive through there all the time when my daughter was at the University of Wisconsin. So if you're going to Madison, Wisconsin, you're driving through Rockford.
Now, let me tell you, the Red Wings goalie prospect, Sebastian Kosa,
right,
the big fella, he's had a wonderful year. But
yes.
It's all about what have you done for me lately. And in this playoff series so far, unfortunately, not much.
Right.
But the second game that the Griffins lost, there wasn't hardly anyone that stood out as any type. It might have been one of the most miserable performances I have seen in 20 years of American League hockey. And it was from top to bottom. It was so embarrassing, JC, because they lost 5-1.
Right.
The Rockford Ice Hogs had the 3 stars of the game at a home. I mean, that's pretty bad at home ice. And our guys pick it. Our sports media department picks the 3. And so that was just downright ugly.
And that happened at Van Andel.
Correct.
Yeah. Hey, what kind of crowds do they get? Is that a sellout in the playoffs?
No, it's weird, because American Hockey League hockey is more of, like, for the average person, just a one-off night out.
Right.
Okay. It's something to do. The beer is cheap on a Friday night.
Yeah, like
it's
single-A baseball.
That type of thing.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. There are the 2,000 season ticket holders who know everything there is to know about hockey. They're at every game. They're part of the booster club. They do all that. So, on playoff games in particular, most of the crowd, since they have a hard time doing group sales for the games that just pop up for the playoffs, you're looking at an arena that's half full. But if they were to go far in the playoffs, they would definitely sell it out. So 10, 11,000 people.
Yeah, they have actually, the Griffins have won a Calder Cup, haven't they?
Twice, 2013 and 2017. Very,
Right.
very exciting.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, I didn't want to spend the whole show talking about that, but since we're in hockey, the Wings came woefully short of, that much. They had lost a tiebreaker to the Capitals, who represented themselves quite well in getting swept by the Rangers.
Yeah, that was downright ugly. And the Red Wings season was weird, because I remember with 6 weeks to go on TV, Ken Daniels was like, "All right, Hockey Town, get your playoff tickets." I thought, oh no, don't do that.
I did the exact same thing here on the radio. I said they would have to have a monstrous swoon for them to miss the playoffs. And of course, as soon as I said the word swoon, they swooned. And and that Capitals game was actually the backbreaker. The Capitals played at Little Caesars Arena. The Wings turned the puck over twice near the end of the second period in a 0-0 game, and Ovechkin capitalized on a goal, and they lost 2-1, and that was the tiebreaker.
So yeah, that's, and then they had that all part of that 7-game losing streak, which was
out in Vegas and Colorado, and they lost to Phoenix, which was desperately horrible. But and now when you follow the press, we have Paul Woods on here quite a bit. He fishes in Grayling, so he's a friend of the show, and now they're on the hook. Yzerman has got to have them in the playoff next year, or do we start looking at moving on from the Steve Yzerman era?
It's hard to even discuss that.
Yes.
But unfortunately, nothing lasts forever, and not everything goes as Yzer planned. I think that there are some excellent players on that team, and I think that this was actually a terrific step forward. And I say for sure that we have this year, and I think that they're going to do much better, and I think that they will make the playoffs next year, and who knows how far they can go. We've got a lot of young players who are working on their game and will be making that next step. The Red Wings typically like to let those players percolate. At that game Wednesday, the entire brass was there. Lalone was there. Yzerman was there. Draper was there.
Really?
All the scouts. They're watching their products very, very closely, and they will be there tonight too. And it's as simple as they love the fact that it's just a 2-hour drive, and they can watch the future of their hockey team. And all eyes are on Kosa. The pressure's on this guy. Okay, if he lays an egg tonight, oh boy, it's that. That's why they keep them at that level, because sometimes they don't have the mental acuity, the ability to focus. They get rattled. These are young players, you know, with a lot of pressure on them.
Well, from your rinkside view, is Kosa ready to play in the NHL? He's huge, isn't he? Isn't he like 6'8"?
He is. He's ridiculously large. I call him the big fella, and he is. He's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. I think that there were times this year that he looked like, this is an NHL goalie. And there are times that you were like, what was I thinking? But I would say that the majority of the things I've thought have been positive about him. So I think he's very, very close. And a deep playoff run by that team, I think, would solidify him and have him having a chance at making the roster next year.
So who is the most NHL-ready player on the Griffins roster?
Jonathan Berggren, number 48, and Simon Edvinsson.
Yeah,
77.
I've heard about Edvinsson. Now, Edvinsson was up twice, I think, with the Wings. He's looked good. I don't know this other fellow.
Berggren is a goal scorer. Kind of a two-way player, but not as much as they'd probably like. Not the biggest guy, European player, obviously. But if I recall, this year the Red Wings were making an effort, as I was heard through the grapevine, of unloading him. And trying to barter a deal to get a lot, because I think he's worth a lot. He's a heck of a scorer. He's way too good for the AHL, but there isn't really a spot for him on the Red Wings. So they've been asking for a lot in exchange for him because he's got a huge upside. So this guy will be playing in the NHL probably next year, but I just don't know where.
What is he? He's a Lucas Raymond doppelganger?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say that, but and again, he's still forming his skill set. But
how old is he?
He's in his early 20s, so
Okay.
there's plenty of upside. But what a story about guys like Raymond and the way the Red Wings win. I am quite intrigued and excited about the upcoming Red Wings seasons.
Well, Raymond is a borderline superstar. He's going to have to make that next step because that's what is missing for the Red Wings. If you read the tea leaves, it doesn't sound like Patrick Kane is coming back. So the one thing that the Red Wings don't have is a superstar. And you got to have one. It's as simple as that.
Well, I think maybe not. Yes, that's true. But I think that was more of a thing in previous years because you look at what a lot of teams have done. And they've had deep benches, deep lines.
I'm just saying, whoever is in the Stanley Cup Finals this year, each of those teams will have at least one superstar. Connor McJesus. That's what.
Right.
So
you don't think that a Larkin is a superstar?
No. I think he's very good, and actually it turns out that when he's not on the ice, the Wings are a much lesser team. But I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think that teams pull their hair out of their head trying to figure out how to defense him.
I think we're kind of gone from the days, though, when a player – there's been a handful, the Connor McDavids, who show up and immediately are able to take off like that. But I don't know if we have anything like that other than the kid that Chicago drafted. And if it wasn't for his injury, he would have had an amazing year this year. But
the Wings should have had some of these guys. They got screwed in the lottery the last 7 or 8 years. Who's the kid for the Rangers that they should have had? It's gone on, and teams don't give up those types of players. So whatever Yzerman does, It's not Connor McDavid's not coming here. Jack Eichel. I mean, like how the Vegas Golden Knights got Jack Eichel 2 years ago, who was the first pick in the draft, and Buffalo didn't like the way he was not panning out, or he said he wasn't going to sign again or whatever, and they got him for next to nothing. A whole bunch of guys moved at the draft. Jakob Hurdle is a fantastic hockey player. He looked really good in a Wings jersey. I don't know. There was a few people that went through at the trade deadline that I think would have vastly improved the Red Wings, but, that wasn't part of the Yzer plan.
Of course, they picked up DeBrincat this year.
Yeah.
And terrific. I mean, he's a very, very good player, but he doesn't quite fall into the mold of that superstar that
Not
you're
at all. He
actually looking for.
doesn't play any defense, and when he's not scoring goals, he's a liability. As what happened, he didn't score a goal for, 13 or 14 games easy, and that was part of that 7-game losing streak.
Is it a little strange that the Wings, the biggest success they had was prior to the salary cap? They haven't really been able to have any real positive movements forwards as that class kind of filtered out from years ago.
Well, obviously the Wings were part of the main reason why they implemented the salary cap, because they had, every year a couple of more guys wanted to come in and get a ring, and that's, that was the destination, and it isn't any longer, and so I don't know if they're going to be able to change that. Now, Yzerman did, build this machine that has become the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is now, aging out like the Red Wings did. And I don't know if they'll ever get rebuilt again, or it will take a long, long time. So I don't know. You got to have a little luck. Like the Pistons are not going to get any luck. They'll probably get the first pick in a draft, which is people are saying is the worst NBA draft in history.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have an audience member in my chat saying, take your Pistons logo down behind you, JC. They are hot garbage.
Where is the Pistons logo? I don't even see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the Pistons. Okay, I was part of the bad boys culture, and knew some of those guys, and it was great fun when Larry Brown got there, because I've known Larry Brown, and but I have no idea where that's going. I mean, that is hot garbage is probably an insult to actual hot garbage.
Right. How do you know all these people? I know your stomping grounds is Metro Detroit back in the day, but how do you know Larry Brown?
Larry Brown was the coach at UCLA when I was out there, and then he ended up coaching the last Pistons World Championship game, and got run out of town because Davidson thought that he was taking too much credit for the Pistons' success, which is exactly what he did. He turned that mess of a team into a World Championship basketball team, the last NBA team to win without an absolute superstar. And then they won that one year. They beat the Lakers, that was full of superstars. And then they lost in Game 7 on a bad closeout by Rasheed Wallace, so they would have had 2 in a row. And then Davidson fired him.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that. Nowadays we live in a world where we talk fondly about that team, of course, but also we talk about the 1988, 89, 90 teams, and like you said, the bad boys. That was when basketball was king.
Yeah.
It's remarkable to think what has transpired, because I think the league actually is not nearly as popular as what it used to be.
Well, that's not true at all. It's just not it's not popular in Detroit because they don't win. But the league is making more and more money. The TV ratings, the TV ratings are through the roof, and it is the biggest of all international games. The NFL is trying. The NFL is king. We all know this, all right? But the NFL is stealing bits and pieces from the NBA that work for international stardom. And the NBA game is watched, in Croatia, in China, everything else. That's a big, big deal. And the NBA makes enough money for the Pistons to be super profitable, and they have 7,000 people in their arena.
Now, I saw a recent poll that said that the top sports team, and I don't believe this to be true, in the state of Michigan to follow the Detroit Tigers. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's the Lions. What do you think?
Well, because they have 82 home games. I mean, if that's what they're going on, you only get 8 games at Ford Field. And hell, I mean, when the Tigers were good, they had 3 million people in that stadium during the season. So you can't get there. You can't get ramped up for just 8 games. I have no idea how they base that number. I mean, I love the Tigers. Don't get me wrong. I am a massive baseball fan. I love what they're doing in another segment. We'll get into a full Tigers segment here. We'll get into a Lions segment. You didn't get the opportunity to go down to the draft, did you?
I did not, but it looked remarkable.
Yeah.
And it really, they really showed up to put that together. And what I hate is I hear people who talk crap about the draft and say that it's stupid and you shouldn't watch it on TV. And it's like, I disagree, because when I was watching that draft, they would pick these players and then they have a profile made of every single one of these players with a nice vignette about where they're from and how they got to this point. It's set up perfectly, and it's all storytelling. And then you've got the people talking. You've got Saban giving his 2 cents. There's a lot of credibility there. You got nearly 1 million people showing up, 750,000 people showing up in Detroit, setting all sorts of records.
Yeah.
I was proud that this is perfect, because it started with Dan Campbell, then Hard Knocks, and then it went to all the people,
playoffs,
the incredible season they had, and then now here they are with this. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, there was 12 million viewers of the first day of the draft on television. That was more than any World Series game, any NBA final, any Stanley Cup final watched. In every regular season NCAA football game other than the Michigan-Ohio State game this past year. So the NFL doesn't ever step on their wieners. They know what the hell they're doing. So if you've got people that say, I don't watch the draft, good for you. Go ahead and watch whatever else was on. But the NFL draft is noteworthy, newsworthy, and watchable. So, that's all I know. We're going to take a break here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, and we'll be back right after that with a breakdown of the Tigers, who I think are having a wonderful season. We'll be back with Eric right after these. It's time for Destination NHL.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
The fresh flavors of the Benetham's Kitchen truly come to life during spring and remind us why we love returning to Benetham's over and over again. Everything on the Benetham's menu is made with the freshest ingredients, and the quality is in every bite. Additionally, there is always a daily appetizer and dinner special in case you want to taste what the chef is sampling. The Benetham's Happy Hour from 4 to 6 is a fantastic way to try many of those fresh flavors. Visit Benethams.com and make your reservation. Benetham's, for the true love of food.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. and online at shantycreek.com.
Right. Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. It's time for Destination MLB, and Jerry Coyne on the phone with Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport. Kev, if they'd listened to us last week, our Tiger fans could be in Manhattan right now.
Oh, they could be enjoying a New York skyline and having a lot of fun, and with our best start ever for their Tigers, I'll tell you, since 1984.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch so far, and you've got the gateway to a lot of road games coming up on the Tigers' schedule.
Well, as we get towards the summer season, our 20 nonstop destinations are all back with our 6 great airlines, and coming up here, we have Phoenix, with great prices there at $512. You got Boston, $390.
Yeah.
You got Dallas, $260. Even planning a little further out as we hit the 1st of July, you got Minneapolis at $120 round trip with Sun Country Airlines. So we got some great destinations for all these away games to go support our Tigers.
Minneapolis, $120 round trip to go see the Tigers. Hell, it's cheaper to fly to Minneapolis than to drive to see them if you're a Tigers fan up here.
Yeah, no parking costs. You fly in, you get an Uber over to the stadium, and yes, it's cheaper to go to Minneapolis than it is to drive down to Detroit.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people doing this, especially this weekend series is really critical for the Tigers, taking on the Yankees and then Cleveland. So if they can acquit themselves well, I think you're going to see a serious case of Tiger fever popping up.
Tigers are just rolling, and I'm bringing out the old '84 jersey. My favorite player, Lance Parrish. I got it in the closet. It's the away jersey, so we're ready to go.
Kevin, do you fill that jersey out like Lance did?
I make sure it's well rounded. How about that?
Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport. What is that email address, sir?
It's tvcairport.com.
All right, we'll check in with you next week. Thanks for giving us the latest in Destination MLB. There you go, easy. Big Tiger fans here, of course, right here on Up North Sports Radio. We are the Tigers radio affiliate. We have been since we bought the stations 11 years ago.
That's fantastic. Take me through that, by the way. As you put sports broadcasts on, you have to have conversations with all these big wigs from the Lions and Tigers. I mean, that's an unbelievable process, and everybody knows at 101.1 and 100.3 what you guys do. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, we also have the Red Wings here. That's part of our affiliation with the Tigers. In most instances, if you're going to take the Tigers, you also have to take the Red Wings. You have to actually pay extra to the Ilitch organization if you're not going to carry the Red Wings. So, the Tigers on the radio is legendary. I mean, everybody has an Ernie Harwell story. I've got a dozen of them. And, the Tigers got super lucky when they found Dan Dickerson because I think he does as good a job as Ernie did.
He's so smooth. The thing about Dan Dickerson, I mean, his abilities are second to none, and I think that he has the chance to go down in history to be like in Ernie Harwell. It was just a thing of stability because you look at Harwell, how he was unceremoniously broomed and then brought back. That
Right.
was one of the saddest things that's ever happened in Michigan sports history, in radio history.
Bo Schembechler did that. That's what was so puzzling. Bo was a horrible general manager for the Tigers. I think everybody has given him a pass when Tom Monahan plucked him out of U of M to run the Detroit Tigers. That was a bad move.
Yeah, that left a lot of people scratching their heads. And if you remember the guys that they brought in, Rick Riz and Bob Rathbone.
Oh,
Rathbone.
My God.
I mean, you could have brought – it didn't matter who you put in.
It could have been, but it might as well have been you and I.
Right.
Yeah.
We would have gotten the same amount of hate as those two. Those guys actually are quite good in what they do, but they had no chance.
Shot. No shot at all. And, Bo realized that. I think Bo left. I don't think he was fired. I think he resigned. He realized like 2 years in, this is not for me. And,
right.
It reached a melting point at U of M, and it doesn't matter. I love Bo Schembechler, and he will not go down. That's not what people remember him for, but I love the way the Tigers are playing. I don't know if you listen to Tiger baseball on the radio very often, Easy, but A.J. Hinch is amazing. I love that. He is the guy. This team is going to be good. This team is going to go to a World Series. I believe this with that guy guiding us. He's a better manager than Sparky Anderson ever was.
I think that a lot of people forget about what the duties are of the manager and the decisions that they have to make, and how the slightest change in things like who's running a base, who is where the players are positioned. This is all key. And it's so critical to be scouting other teams and knowing exactly what's up, and things that the regular audience doesn't really notice about how the game is played, that things that you and I could only dream of. There's a story behind all of the decisions that the managers make.
100%. And when Dickerson has his pregame conversation with A.J. Hinch, you learn more about baseball, how they're doing. He breaks it down, baseball for dummies, but what you just said, he covers it all. You're like, why did this happen? Why did we do this? This is what we're set up for today. And he says it every single day. We're here to win. People are like, oh, baseball's a marathon, not a sprint and everything else. Yeah, you're right. It's a 162-game season. They are going to do whatever they can to win today's game. And that's carried through till this year. Right now, they have won, I think it's 7 one-run games.
And they've been exciting to watch. And ultimately, this is all part of the puzzle.
That's the problem.
Part of that puzzle. And what do you think about the pitch clock? Because to me, that's been something that's kind of brought me back to being interested in the way the game is played.
I think it's great. You know what? It clipped a half an hour off baseball. When I lived in San Francisco, Tigers baseball is American League baseball, the DH and all that stuff. National League baseball has always been played a little differently. I remember going to a game once at Candlestick Park. The Reds were playing the Giants, and the game was less than 2 hours.
Oh, that was not a pitch clock era.
No, but games are getting bloated. I mean, the Yankees and the Red Sox were playing games into 4-hour territory.
Right.
Right. And that's why people, are watching their cell phones and getting hit in the head with foul balls because they're bored beyond words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember watching, if you were to go back and watch, like for some reason I just happened to pop on Monday Night Baseball from back in the day when Mark Fidrich was burst out onto the national scene with his performance.
I heard that you talk about him on the on your morning show.
Well, what's interesting when you watch that, how quickly he would work, and all pitchers from that era, how quickly they would work. And the batters weren't screwing around. Just something happened over the years that made it just slow down to a death march.
Yeah, and I think the pitch clock has been great. I'm not so crazy about putting the man on second base when they go into extra innings, but that has also sped things up, so I guess that's worked. They don't do it in the playoffs, so I think that's cool. No, Major League Baseball realized that they had a problem, and they addressed it. So, I mean, good for them. Attendance is up, viewership is up, but more importantly, I don't care about the league as a whole. I'm a Tigers fan, and I love listening to them on the radio. It's a pain in the butt to try to watch them on television. Bally's contract is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are in bankruptcy. Thank God we've got baseball on the radio for free. And, it's a tradition anyways. I don't think there's a person alive that has any problem following their game in their head.
Yep.
By listening.
Out of all of the sports, following baseball on the radio, I think, is the most enjoyable from my perspective because of what you just said. And because I think you have to have your ducks in a row at an elaborate level for a guy like Dan Dickerson, because he's got to do a lot of storytelling and conversation in between pitches and in between pitching changes and innings and things like that. And I love it. I couldn't agree more if I had to pick. So I'm not that bummed out about not being able to watch him on TV, but that story is huge, that Bally's, as they continue to go belly up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is massive. I mean, you've heard about other TV networks that they've been had to pull the plug on, but this is a big one. And I don't want to pay $20 for the Bally's app. I just don't. That's why I have cable.
Yeah, no, but cable's jacking those prices up, and it makes it difficult to keep the package. Going back to the storytelling, like Dickerson and Ernie Harwell, Vin Scully became a legend like that. I mean, what other sport other than baseball on the radio or on TV with Harry Carey, when the announcers are as legendary as the players, when you have statues of announcers outside of the ballpark.
Yes, that's fantastic.
I don't know if they're going to erect a statue of you outside of Van Andel. Are you counting on that?
Oh no. I've done some really terrible things over the years that have actually landed me in hot water. I'm not even kidding.
You mean fighting the mascots?
Oh, that's encouraged.
Oh, okay.
You will see me fighting mascots from time to time. Who is the Tigers TV baseball announcer? Because I really like that guy.
He's the guy they just got from the White Sox. I can't remember his name now.
I think I see it. Jason Benetti?
That's right, Jason Benetti.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he does a really good job. I love what happened with who was our old team?
You're talking about Mario and Rod.
Yeah, Mario and Rod fighting. Actually,
I loved them too, and I guess that during the commercials they'd fight and then they come back and they're best buddies, and that will only take you so far. And they got into a fist fight over a chair.
I love that. Yeah.
That's like you and Roadrunner.
No. That is not a fight. I do not even think that Roadrunner would put up his dukes. I mean, neither would you.
I disagree.
I mean, neither would you.
I would kill you. Are you kidding me?
I'm not a sixth grader. Even as a sixth grader, you wouldn't have been able to beat me.
I am a furious fireball and wiry. You might be 8 feet tall.
Wiry.
I am an Armenian. I will destroy you.
Yeah, I know. I have one of my closest friends is Armenian, and he's never raised a fist to me either. and how big I am. There might be an Armenian in history that was bigger than me, but we'd like to see him somewhere in a cave in the mountains somewhere, right?
How was the workout today? What'd you do? Back and buys?
No. Fridays is a short window, so I got in my 75 push-ups and 200 sit-ups. So it's a quickie today. Lifting is Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
You heard it. JC got the day started with a quickie.
Yeah, Cheryl's not listening. That's good. That won't be inferred in any other different way. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Mr. Zane's got me all flustered.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
The NCAA men's tennis tournament gets underway this morning. Both Michigan and Michigan State will look to advance. The Wolverines face Binghamton in the first round of the 64-team bracket. The Spartans battle the University of Denver. Tom Brady is set to be the center of the next official roast this upcoming weekend. He'll be joined by many of his past teammates, including Gronk, Randy Moss, and Drew Bledsoe, as pro comedians poke fun of his career and personal life. It'll be the first live roast and will be carried by Netflix on Cinco de Mayo at 8 p.m., hosted by Kevin Hart. The Tigers are set to play a 3-game set in New York as they begin their road trip. Reese Olson, Casey Mize, and Tarek Skubal set to pitch in NYC. After that, their next stop will be in Cleveland to battle the first-place Guardians. Detroit enters the weekend 2 games back. And in a continuation of his interview with the Detroit Free Press, Michigan Athletic Director Ward Manuel says that there is no systematic issues at Michigan and believes he has dealt with issues as immediate as possible. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. At this time of the program, we like to check in with Lindsay Southwell, who's the Director of Marketing at Shanty Creek. However, she's not available, but again, I know there's a little rain here right now, but the rest of the weekend is looking fantastic, and there's still that amazing sale going on until Mother's Day. Where you can play any one of the 5 courses at Shanty Creek for $30. That includes a cart, and that includes Cedar River, which is, they're doing this for the anniversary of Cedar River Golf Club, which is turning 25 years old. Hawkeye is turning 20. The special isn't just available this weekend, but available daily through Mother's Day. $30 on Cedar River or Hawkeye or the Legend. It's unbelievable. The tee sheets have been filling up, though, at those rates. I was on with Steve Schuerman, who is the director of golf at Shanty Creek last week, on Finding Fairways, and they were sold out last week. So get over to shantycreek.com to take advantage of these prices that you'll never see again. Visit shantycreek.com or call 231-533-2020. Eric Zane, do you play golf?
You know, I think the only thing I do these days is talking to microphones. I've kind of gotten into a bad spot where I have no other activities, and I think that's going to lead to some burnout before too long.
Well, it's a good thing that this is your only time on this show because, quite frankly, it's been a disaster to this point. I mean, Rich Calkins is probably listening somewhere going, I'm getting a raise. I know that.
Yeah. Well, you don't want your pros leaving, so you have to incentivize, and I can totally see that. So I don't know what you're going to have to do, JC. Maybe send him some of your glamour shots to keep him around.
Well, he's an eater, so he devours everything that we bring into the green room on Friday. I don't know how he stays so skinny, to be honest with you. Speaking of keeping your pros in line. Lions paying some big salaries to Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jared Goff coming up to who would have thought, when that deal first went down, Easy, we're shipping Stafford to the Rams, we're getting Jared Goff, and everybody's like, holy God, we're going to this talk about hot garbage, right? And now they're going to have to pay this guy $50 million a year for the next 5 years.
Yeah, no one expected that. We were looking at that trade, even though Jared Goff was kind of like just viewed as a throwaway player. And we
had to take his $25 million salary, and everybody's like, oh, my God. Go ahead.
The amount of draft picks is all anybody was focused on. It was still a good trade then, even though it was Jared Goff. So we were like, okay, and then he started out, if you remember, 1-6. Or I should say, he was even worse that first year, I think, because
they only won one. What did they won 2 games all year long, right?
2 or 3. They were 3-13-1. But then year 2 starts out similarly, and then all of a sudden,
and then they caught fire.
Yes, and then we all of a sudden it's like, wow, now this starts to, it really seems to be working out because I think initially Jared Goff, the Lions didn't have all the pieces in place. If you recall how desperately bad that team was. If you notice this year, remember how many times there'd be like consecutive false starts and then just these bad sequences, and we hadn't seen that. The only time we saw that was in the second half this year of the NFC Championship game. That's when that started to percolate again. But all in all, I think it's been just fantastic, and he's got a chance to go down in history as one of the best Lions quarterbacks ever.
Well, he is. Continues to perform. Yeah, I mean that because our other than Stafford, the Lions' best quarterback ever was Greg Landry. So if you remember Greg, it all changed when Campbell realized that the offensive coordinator that they had didn't fit what they had personnel-wise. He started calling the plays. They won those games at the end of the year. They elevate Ben Johnson from pass coordinator to offensive coordinator, and look what's happened. And then the blessing of all – oops, I don't know what happened there. We are now off the air. JJ? Okay. Anyways, Ben Johnson, what a blessing it has been that Ben Johnson is going to be with us again this year. Okay. Well, I guess Eric decided that.
He's come back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm sorry. I thought you'd be able to take an insult or two. My God.
I usually do. All of a sudden, I was in mid-thought. You were in mid-thought. I was admiring your hair, and then you vanished on me.
My hair is admirable. It's probably the only admirable thing. I mean, actually, your hair is pretty good. It's not as good as mine, but, what are you going to do? Anyways.
By the way, thank you to JJ. He's a marvelous helping hand at all times and leader amongst men.
I think we just gave him a raise, so I don't have to worry about that.
Good deal.
But no, I mean, and thank God that all signs pointed to Ben Johnson leaving for a head coaching position. He's returning. The NFC Central is going to be wild this year, and I think you're going to be lucky to win 3 and lose 3 inside the division. So, the Lions. I had an interview with Dan Campbell. I met him. I've told this story a couple times on the air before. I met him up in Mackinac last year, and we were talking about the team for a little bit. He goes, I know the expectations are high. We could have a better football team and a worse record. Now, that's not what happened, but that could happen this year. They could have a better football team and only win 10 games.
Dan Campbell, what I love about Dan Campbell is because even during the great run that they had this past year and a half, you still have a guy who is detractor, who still is butthurt about previous years and hasn't yet gotten over it. They seem to have mental problems. I can't stand people like that who dog Dan Campbell. It's like, where are they now? And he had the nerve to say, there's no room on our bandwagon for you after what people – that was, in my opinion, one of the more bold things I've ever seen a coach do, speak directly to haters like that. That does not happen.
No, Campbell, he's his own guy anyways. And, people had never really heard of him until the Lions named him as head coach. And the first thing he says is we're biting kneecaps. And all these people go, oh, my God, we hired a lunatic. But if you listen to some of the other people who are Sean Payton, the head coach at New Orleans, was the head coach. He brought Campbell in on that staff. And now he's at Denver, of course. You should hear Sean Payton talk about Dan Campbell. The people in the know think that Campbell is outstanding. I was watching the draft special that Pat McAfee did with Bill Belichick, and Belichick just did this quick little thing on Campbell. He goes, this guy's the future of the NFL. This is what players are drawn to guys like that.
And that's terrific because of the bar being so low with the way Matt Patricia treated his players. He treated everybody like garbage. The guy who fixes the photocopier, the reporters belittling them. And Campbell comes in and he's just, he's not as sweet as you, but he's a sweet leader. And people just fell in love with just the personality alone. And that bought him the time because they stunk for a while. And then all of a sudden, everybody who's rooting for Dan Campbell's like, oh, thank God, man, it's happening. It's happening right now. We're living it.
Yeah, and he's got the perfect GM. It's funny. I don't know. Have you watched this Pat McAfee show at all on ESPN?
I sure have.
Yeah. Yesterday he had Nick Caserio on, who's and John Lynch, who are the general managers for the Houston Texans, and Lynch is at San Francisco. And they were talking about the relationships they have with their coaches. And that is critical. You have to have a head coach and a general manager on the same page. And Lynch broke down how he got the job. He was on television. And he did some work with John Elway at Denver, breaking down some of their squads and everything else. And he heard Kyle Shanahan was looking at being the new head coach at San Francisco, and he called Shanahan. And he said, look, I know you're looking for a general manager because it was going to be a package deal, right? They wanted Shanahan, and they would find a general manager. And he said, I will do whatever I can do to make that team the best, most successful. And look at how successful that partnership has been, Eric. Unbelievable. And the same thing with Nick Caserio at Houston, and they just got, what's his name, the last year, the defensive coordinator out of San Francisco. So I think the Lions, Campbell and Holmes has got the same juice going.
I think I agree with that. And I think one of the things that they're doing is just very, very basic. And what I mean by that is relationships and interviews. When they, with the exception of Cam Sutton and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, when they sit down with players and determine if, okay, you're going to be a right fit because we can tell you have the mental acumen to buy into what we are doing. And those are the players that they're getting in free agency. Those are the players that they're drafting. Yeah. Like DJ Reader. Getting DJ Reader in the offseason was huge, even though he's coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
But DJ Reader is a quality human being.
Yeah.
Now, again, there are exceptions. Gardner-Johnson's a clown. Sutton is a clown. And it's good that they're gone because they kind of stunk anyway. So that also shows that these guys are still getting better at what they're doing because they do have mistakes that they've made.
I thought C.J. Gardner-Johnson was a good signing. I think it probably would have been different if he had been healthy. I know he was probably leading with his mouth because his body wasn't proper at the end of the year. But hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt us and he has a great another year at Philadelphia because he's been good there.
I'm anxious to see how this class, because Lions are not afraid to pull the trigger on guys who are recovering from injury.
No, they have done that historically. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, look at J-Mo as being a draft pick, and they waited a whole year and a half before that guy was healthy.
It will be extraordinarily helpful if these two first draft picks can play at a high level right away.
Were you there to witness the moment when the overall draft pick, I forget his name, what's his name?
Terrian Arnold.
Terrian Arnold. Were you right there when he took the mic and turned and addressed the crowd?
I'm a superstar. Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
You've got to have, you know what? There's a couple of jobs in sports, Eric, that you have to have you've got to be supremely confident to be an athlete, period. Professional athlete. If there's any doubts, you're getting creamed. You're getting crushed. But relief pitcher and cornerback, you got to have screw that. I just gave up a 70-yard touchdown. I'm still the best corner in the world. If you don't feel that way, you're going to give up 100 touches. Same thing with a relief pitcher. You give up a home run to lose the ball game, that stuff is out of your brain in 90 seconds.
That's why, JC, you are the undisputed king of radio. in all of Michigan. The building's made of gold. The microphone's made of diamonds. That's the same mentality JC has each and every day, folks.
Thank you. You can listen to that at 2 o'clock on Q100 Michigan. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport, with just a few more minutes with the great Eric Zane.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Are you looking for a way to make a difference in the life of a child in our community? Look no further. I'm Cecilia Chesney, CEO and Big Sister at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Did you know that the majority of youth on our wait list are now 13 years and older?
Really? I always thought it was younger kids who needed the most support.
Times have changed. Our teenagers really need our help more than ever.
You know, I have raised my kids, and although the teen years had their challenges, I'd consider mentoring a teen. After all, I have a better idea of what to expect now that I've done it. How much time does it take?
Only 4 to 6 hours a month will make a world of difference in a teenager's life, but the impact will last a lifetime. Together, we can provide the support and guidance our teens need to thrive. Join us to make a difference and become a mentor today. Visit bigsupnorth.org.
Welcome back to Friday Face-Off on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne in studio here in beautiful Grayling on Skype with Eric Zane. And as soon as Eric is done here, he's going to go back to his podcast. Now, if you like potty mouthery, then Eric's podcast is for you.
You know, I have never once, since I've been affiliated with Blarney Stone Broadcasting for these wonderful 2 months, have I even suggested that I do a podcast. That is the first time it has ever been mentioned. And I do that by design because I don't want people to see where my brain goes.
Well, I was trying to track you down because you were ignoring my texts. So I went on the podcast. Yes, Eric does a podcast. It's called The Eric Zane Show. You can see his shameless advertising and promotion. But the show, I'll tell you, is perfectly borne out by the photograph if you're watching on Up North Sports Radio on Facebook. Both his dogs sleep through the entire podcast because it's truly dreadful and mind-numbing.
I think that's putting it lightly. And I've really grown to embrace that it might be the world's worst podcast.
No.
It's horrible.
There's no way it's the world's worst podcast.
Well, mine, it stinks. It is so bad. I don't know how. I mean, I've got a lot of people that listen to it, and I'm like, how is this even a thing? These people are a glutton for punishment.
Yeah. Go listen to Bill Burr's podcast. Trust me, you'll enjoy it much more.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyways, going back to sports, because that's what this show is extensively about, have you watched any of the NBA or NHL playoffs?
Not a lick.
Really?
Not a lick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will pontificate now about sports here for a few minutes because Eric hasn't seen any of the NHL. Look at Rich Calkins and I were talking about this last week. It is unbelievable to me how higher a level these teams play at once they're in the playoffs. How much faster NHL is from regular season to the playoffs. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. You just have to watch it because It means everything, every play, every minute. Some of these NBA playoff games have been the series between the 76ers and the Knicks was like the Bulls and the Bad Boy Pistons. Unbelievable. People slapping each other around, guys diving on the floor for every point. It's incredible. And it warms my heart to see people give it their all. That's why I love college sports, Eric. College football, college basketball, they just play as hard as they can. And the biggest knock on the NBA is, they don't play hard. And they're playing hard in the playoffs.
Interesting. Now, did the Knicks win that series, or is it still going on?
No. They won last night, 118-115 on a last-second shot.
And so is the season over for the Sixers?
That's right. They lost 4 games to 2, yeah.
Well, it's I know that Knicks fans have been starving forever.
Yes.
And I'm anxious to see how they respond to this because it's been a long time coming for them. I don't think you or I do you remember are we talking Clyde Frazier last time they won a championship?
It is 1970 and 1973. The reason why I know that is because that 1970 team is my favorite sports team of all time. Dave DeBusschere was a friend of my dad's, a mentor of mine as a kid growing up. That was DeBusschere, Bradley, Willis Reed, Clyde Frazier, Dick Bradley. Phil Jackson was on that team. And then they won it again in 73 when they brought in Earl Monroe and Jerry Lucas. That's how long ago that is. That's the last time the Knicks, what is just the epicenter of professional basketball, won a national championship was 1973.
And it's hard to believe that with what that team had during the Patrick Ewing era, and I think it was pretty much because Michael Jordan that they didn't win.
They couldn't even beat the Jordan-less Bulls. Scottie Pippen went off on them a couple times. The problem was Patrick Ewing was a fantastic basketball player. Charles Oakley was, a bruiser, really good. But John Starks played okay. They never had a great guard for those teams. That was the problem. And they made it to the NBA Finals one year, and they lost to Houston and Akeem the Dream. So, it is against, whom you play against that matters. I mean, Charles Barkley never won an NBA championship because he was always playing against Jordan.
Right.
Yep.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is cool. I think it would, if I could, because I can't even golf. I can't even do anything. I'm always talking into mics. I need to freaking watch this.
Well, you're not talking into the mics after 8 p.m.
Now, that's time to sleep, JC. Okay. Friday night, 8:30, I'm in bed.
I thought that was, like a sweet love time for you and the missus.
Look, not everybody has money flying can fly from place to place in northern Michigan in a helicopter. Not everybody can do that, JC.
The helicopter's down for repairs. So, I'll be working at the house. I do have a honey-do list, much like most American males. I'm sure you do.
You should. Yeah, you should.
Look at your dogs.
Yeah, that's Darla crashed out. She's the English bulldog. Next to her is the French bulldog, Bruce.
Bruce.
Yes, that's a great name.
Well, of course it is. That's the one thing we have in common. We both have a love of Bruce Springsteen.
One day, if we have time, I need to tell you about, not only did I meet Bruce Springsteen, I met every member of the band, and it was the most wild thing I've ever been involved in. It was a caper. It can be described as a caper.
I can't wait to hear that story. I met the whole band minus Bruce. So that maybe I'll tell that story on Q100 Michigan today at 2 o'clock. I'll be on from 2 to 6, my only day of doing my rock and roll show that made the radio station famous. But now Eric is making this radio station infamous by taking on the mornings.
Yes, I am blessed to have been invited in. Somehow I passed the audition, and these people, these poor souls, invited me in to do the radio show, and I'm so thankful.
It is amazing the misinformation that comes out of his mouth during the program.
It's a closet. It's
a cluster.
Yes.
A nicer way to say it is it's a Chinese fire drill.
Oh, it's horrible. It's worse than the podcast.
No, that can't be possible. Because you're playing my music during the program.
This is true.
Okay?
This is true.
Let me bring us up to date. So the circling back, the Tigers have a huge series this weekend in New York, in the Bronx. The Yankees are 20-12. The Tigers are 18-12. So it'd be nice to see the Tigers win a couple of games here. Tonight's game, of course, is on Up North Sports Radio 101.1. Pre-game's at 6:50. So that'll be a very, very exciting. I'm trying to remember who's pitching today. I saw it in my badness. It's not Skubal. Skubal's going on Sunday. Reese Olson is pitching tonight, and he's pitched well. The starting pitching has been dynamite, and it's going to have to continue that way, Eric, because they're in the bottom 10 in hitting and runs scored. So the offense needs to perk it up.
So, yeah, it's looking like no one's scoring runs for Reed Olson because he's 0-4, but his ERA is only 3.18.
That would be correct. That's Justin Verlander territory.
Right.
Verlander.
Casey Mize tomorrow.
Yeah. Casey Mize has been great. It's great to see him back from 2 surgeries, throwing harder than he ever has before. This Tiger staff has a chance to be epic. And if they can stay healthy. And the bullpen's fabulous. Chris Fetter, who's the pitching coach. They actually have 2 pitching coaches. That's how important this pitching is. And in the amount of work that this pitching staff does with the pitchers, on the hitters, and everything else, it's like rocket science. And that's the reason why the Tigers are so good. They are not as talented as the other teams they play. They are just, I think, more prepared than any other team in the league.
Very good.
So that is on tonight at as I said, 6:50. Tomorrow and Sunday at 9 o'clock is our locally produced golf show, Finding Fairways. We hope you can be part of that. If you can't tune in at 9 a.m., you can go right here at Up North Sports Radio on Facebook and check that out as well. Eric, thanks so much for taking the time. Maybe you can call into the show and we can keep this going this afternoon.
Oh my gosh, it's like we're poverty Howard Stern. We're the 2 kings of all media in Northern Michigan.
As long as we view it that way, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
JC, you're a pleasure. We can talk about anything, though my sports knowledge is limited. I feel like we kind of have something there. I think we have some type of chemistry between us, JC.
That'll do it for us here on Up North Sports Radio. Thanks for joining us. Check out Eric every Monday through Friday on a Q100, Michigan 100.3 with the Insane Asylum. Thanks, EZ.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
I have one guy on the floor for either team that I wanted to put my trust in. It's probably Jalen Brunson. Now, that's no disrespect to Tyrese Maxey because he was amazing in that series too, but had a great fourth quarter yesterday. Wasn't